In the previous video, we see Count Valentia punishing Diana and giving her a last chance. Let's see if Diana will betray Anthea or not. Let's begin our video. We see Anthea looking outside the window, and it is snowing outside. Suddenly, Anthea notices Diana. Diana is very upset and says something. Anthea asks her if it is alright or not. Diana suddenly changes her expression and tells Anthea, "Let's have a snow fight." After some time, Diana and Blake play snow fighting, with Maid Melissa and Anthea looking at them through the palace window. Maid Melissa asks Anthea to go play with them, but Anthea refuses, saying she is not fond of the snow. Maid Melissa convinces her and asks her to join. Then Anthea also goes outside and joins them. I wonder if the Blake curse will not get triggered in the snow. Maid Melissa is very happy to see them. After playing with snow, they enter the palace, where their clothes become wet. Anthea tells Diana to remove her clothes because they get wet, but Diana refuses, saying she will clean her clothes when she reaches home. Anthea noticed Diana's leg was hurt, and her cheeks seemed swollen. Diana says she is fine, but Anthea holds her hand and tells Diana to tell her the whole truth. Now Diana is in a panic situation, and she does not want to let Anthea know the whole truth. But after listening to her sister, her eyes are full of tears. She cries in Anthea's arms and tells everything to her. Anthea tells Diana that she should have already told about this situation. Diana was scared of the truth because she was afraid Anthea would not want to see her again. Anthea tells her she will never get angry with her, and she always adores her like a little sister. Anthea thinks if there was a real Anthea there, she would also never hate her little sister. Diana thanked her, and Anthea saw Diana smiling again. I was also relieved and very happy. After that, Diana fell asleep, and Anthea stayed beside her. Anthea had never imagined that Count Valentia would hurt Diana, and beat Diana to become his spy and watch over her. Anthea was very angry, thinking she might have to take care of Count Valentia first. Suddenly, Blake came, and he asked if Diana was sleeping. Anthea says yes, and she will stay with Diana for tonight. Blake tells Anthea it was not her fault, so do not worry. Anthea thanked him for supporting her. In the evening, Count Valentia tries to enter the Crown Prince's palace, but Butler Han stopped him, saying it was the Crown Prince's order not to let him enter. Now we see Servant Han is prompt to the head butler. Count Valentia was very shocked after hearing this, saying it was not Anthea but a monster who is stopping him from entering the palace. Lord Edmund tells him to mind his manners, but Count Valentia gets very angry and try to enter the palace forcefully. Lord Edmund stops him and warns him not to try to enter the palace. Prince Blake came and asked them what was going on there. Lord Edmund tells everything to Prince Blake. Prince Blake tells them to escort Count Valentia to the Arboretum. In the Arboretum, Prince and Count Valentia are having tea. Count Valentia is very nervous because even Blake is his son-in-law. He only sees him once on a wedding day. Count Valentia flinches, saying he came here to take Diana for her engagement. Prince Blake says she was sleeping, and Diana will stay here forever. Count Valentia gets tense, thinking if Diana tells everything to Prince Blake, Count Valentia lies, saying Diana is the one who wanted to get rid of Anthea, but he will teach her a discipline bit. Blake asked him if he also disciplined his wife too. Count Valentia says he used to discipline Anthea a bit, and he did this because he loved her. Now Count Valentia is showing his true nature, saying, "What happened to Anthea when you're going to die sooner?" Blake gets very angry after hearing this and asks him that who told him he was going to die. Count Valentia was shocked, thinking if Blake would find a cure for his curse. Blake says he promised Anthea he wouldn't die, and if he dies, she will never go to Count Valentia's house. In his mind, Count Valentia is thinking how dare Blake speak to him like that when he is just a monster. But the surroundings change when Prince Blake tells him that he is thinking of him like a monster. Count Valentia is terrified with fear and full of sweat. He thinks Prince Blake is reading his mind. Prince Blake asked Count Valentia if he was interested in his curse. Count Valentia flinched and said he was not interested. Blake grabs his hand and says it is a goddess's curse. It's like a disease, which means it can spread to anyone if he touches it. Count Valentia gets scared and says it is just a fake rumor, but Prince Blake gave a devilish smile saying it was not a rumor. After hearing this, Count Valentia gets very scared, screaming loudly, thinking he will also get the Blake curse. He just imagined his hand getting infected. He will suffer like Blake and have a horrible death. But it was a false rumor. Blake coldly tells him to stay away from Anthea and never come back to the palace again. It was so satisfying. If Anthea was there, she would definitely enjoy this show. On another day, Anthea goes and visits Blake in Blake's room. She asked if he got proper sleep or not. Blake says he just couldn't fall asleep at night, and gives a red rose to Anthea. She thanks him, and she is going to pick that flower. But suddenly Blake falls. Anthea grabs him asking if he is alright. She is going to get the Count physician. But Blake stops her, saying he just wants her to stay with him. They both fell asleep. Anthea and Blake hold each other's hands and sleep the entire day. When Anthea wakes up, she saw Blake, who is smiling and looking normal now. She asked him why his face is so flushed. He tells her because she is patting him like a baby. Anthea gets fidgeted. She forgot it is an adult novel. Blake pulled himself a little closer to her and grabbed her hand. Anthea says she thought Blake would be upset with her for petting him. Blake tells her he never said that. Does Anthea think her husband is becoming more flirtatious by the day? After that, Emperor Thenston banished Count Valentia to an island west of the Valley of Chaos. He was formally charged with the duty to patrol the island. The rumors say Count Valentia went mad. It could be an act by him so he could return to the Empire, but Count Valentia garnered no sympathy. After that, Diana stayed in the Crown Prince's palace and prepared for the Knight Academy entrance exams. In her room, Diana was studying, and Anthea brought coffee for her. Diana thanked her, feeling like the luckiest girl in the world. Anthea told Diana to give her best in the exam. Afterward, Diana passed the Knight Academy entrance exams. Anthea congratulated Diana, saying she came 9th in the class. Diana made a gloomy face because the result was better than she thought. But Diana wanted to go to the academy and also wanted to stay with Anthea. What a typical situation this is. Anthea pinched Diana's cheek and told her to stay with her and forget about the Knight Academy. Diana said she wants to become a knight and also says to wait for her for 6 years. Anthea thought about whether she would break the Blake curse within 6 years or give up everything and prepare to leave. Diana told her to promise that she would wait for her. Anthea promised she would wait for her. Now it was a new year, another festival of the ball. In the novel, this was the year when Emperor Thenston died after falling for Richard's tricks. But now Anthea was there, she would protect Emperor Thenston at any cost. Now, father and daughter made an awesome entry into the festival. The music played, and everyone was dancing. Here, the trashy Richard came to appreciate Anthea's beauty, asking for her hand to dance. As usual, Anthea refused him. Suddenly, Diana came and told Richard that Anthea did not want to dance with him. Diana and Anthea walked away from him. Richard was quite lucky this time because he did not get humiliated. After that, Anthea and Diana went outside and sat together. Anthea asked her what she thought about Richard, and Diana said he was so annoying she couldn't stand him. Her reaction seemed like she hated Richard so much, but Anthea was worried about Diana might end up with Richard, as in the novel. However, everything was the opposite. That night, Anthea and Emperor Thenston went to the terrace, where Anthea was amazed by the beautiful view outside. They could see the whole palace from there. Emperor Thenston told her how Blake used to hide in this room while playing hide and seek. Anthea suggested he visit Amoria Castle, and if he does, Blake will also be happy to see him. But Emperor Thenston was worried about Blake's curse and did not want to hurt him further. Anthea said the Blake curse would be broken someday and reminded him that there is no black magic book that can transfer the curse to another. She warned him not to fall prey to anyone, especially Richard. Emperor Thenston said he would not fall for such foolish tricks, but Anthea knew he might. In the novel, there was a reason why Emperor Thenston fell into Richard's trap. One day, Blake's condition worsened, and the door of darkness opened. Emperor Thenston tried with all his might to close the door, but there was no way to ensure Blake's life if he used light magic. He had no choice and fell into Richard's trap, resulting in his death. Anthea told him she was a master of language and put her trust in her. Emperor Thenston patted her and said he would not make any reckless decisions. Now, he had 2 children to take care of and protect, Blake and her. Anthea knew he was referring to Blake and her. According to the novel, Emperor Thenston dies this year, and she will stop this from happening. The next day, Diana was ready to go to the Knight Academy. While on the way, she entrusted Blake with the responsibility of protecting her sister while she was away. Blake assured her that she was in good hands, so there was no need to worry. However, they continued to argue over their love for Anthea. Anthea urged Diana not to dawdle, mentioning that they would be late. She assured Blake that she would return soon. As they traveled in the carriage, Diana gave a red box to Anthea. It contained the key to the Valentia family house, which Diana's father had given her before he was exiled. Anthea hesitated, but Diana insisted, explaining that most of the fortune belonged to her mother. Grateful, Anthea accepted the key, and Diana expressed that she was merely returning it to the rightful owner. Upon reaching their destination, they were welcomed by the Imperial Knights, leaving them awestruck by Emperor Thenston's preparations. The matriculation ceremony for the Knight Academy began, welcoming all the students who had passed the entrance exams. Diana's mother also attended to witness her daughter's moment. Diana bid farewell to Anthea, who urged her to write letters regularly. Diana promised to do so, saying goodbye and leaving for the academy. Anthea, happy with the promise, returned to the palace. In the palace, everyone watched Diana's ceremony on the animated crystal. Blake asked Lord Edmund why he didn't record Anthea. Lord Edmund revealed that he also had some recordings of the princess. He showed them a box full of animated crystals capturing various moments of Anthea. Anthea questioned why so many were recorded, and Lord Edmund explained it was Emperor Thenston's order. Anthea remained confused as to why such precious animated crystals were used on her. Maid Melissa clarified that it was a present for the crown prince. Anthea was overjoyed to see Blake smiling. The Valencia family traced its lineage directly to Lionel Valencia, a great wielder of the power of light. Alongside Philip, they established the Astaric Empire. However, due to Philip's betrayal, the goddess of light reclaimed the power, and the successor of the light grew weaker over time. As the years passed, it became challenging to determine the rightful heir of the light. Nevertheless, the Valencia family remained deeply connected to the power of light. Now, Maid Melissa and Anthea were going to the library at the manor to find a book about the magic of light and the curse. When they entered, they only saw a few books, and while there were a few about the magic of light, Anthea had already read them. They proceeded to the secret room, and Anthea was stunned by the view. However, the room was full of precious jewels and paintings, leaving Anthea disappointed because she couldn't find any books about the magic of light or the successor. They left for the palace, feeling disappointed. On the way, Anthea suddenly started remembering the real Anthea's past life, which echoed in her mind. Feeling dizzy, Maid Melissa asked if she was all right. The maid stopped the carriage and took Anthea outside for some fresh air. Anthea was confused, realizing she was not the real Anthea. In her mind, when the real Anthea's memories started flashing, she couldn't bear it and felt dizzy. Suddenly, Anthea noticed Richard standing beside the trees. She remembered that today was the day when Richard's life turned upside down. Richard's mother was a slave of the Raum family. 1,000 years ago, the Raum ruled the Western Hemisphere as the imperial family of the Zelkon Empire, oppressive rulers who abused their power for pleasure and extravagance. The goddess of light grew angry at the Raum's atrocious behavior and drove them out by giving her power to Philip. The Zelkon Empire fell, giving way to the Astaric Empire, and the Raum were demoted to slaves. Even 1,000 years later, their family remained scorned. When the Duke's wife was pregnant, Duke Carcel impregnated the beautiful slave of Raum, who was Richard's mother. At first, the Duke raised the boys as slaves, but he also had a soft spot and accepted Richard as his bastard child, impressed by Richard's intelligence. Richard was happy to hear this and vowed to study even harder to gain more attention from the Duke and ask him for his mother's freedom. However, his hope didn't last long. One day, his mother's condition worsened, and Richard went to the Duke to ask for a doctor. His mother assured him she was all right, but Richard went to the Duke and revealed everything. The Duke asked if she had tansinol, but Richard didn't know. The Duke told him to get out, and Richard had no choice but to leave. Afterward, his mother died, not from infection, but the Duke ordered his men to drag her out to the garden and kill her, following his orders and burying her there. Richard was released from the shed after confirming he did not have tansinol. His big brother laughed at him, asking why he wasn't buried alongside his mother. However, Richard went straight to the study and found all the books that mentioned tansinol. Richard discovered that tansinol was an infectious disease originating from the Raum family. It was highly contagious and fatal, causing black spots all over the body, a ghastly face, and coughing blood. It was considered the second generation of the curse of the goddess of light, resembling that of the cursed successor. The more books Richard read, the more certain he became that his mother did not die from tansinol. People assumed tansinol when Raum got sick, making them eager to kill them. That's why his mother had no choice but to endure the pain, and she told him not to tell anyone. Richard believed his mother died because of him. After that day, Richard became a completely different person. He vowed to take revenge on Duke Castle and his family, intending to strip the Duke of everything he had, kill him in the most excruciating way possible, and claim the throne for himself. Richard swore to make all those who looked down on him for being a slave kneel before him. Now I understand why Richard is evil. He lost someone precious that he loved. He was not an evil person, but his surroundings made him evil. When Anthea approached him, Richard gave a weird smile, as he never expected Anthea to come there. Anthea commented on the beautiful tree, but Richard corrected her, revealing it to be a tombstone for a Raum lady. Anthea was surprised that he mentioned the Raum family first, noting that Richard didn't even tell this Diana in the novel. Anthea asked if he knew her, but Richard lied, saying no, he had only heard that she died of tansinol. Anthea tied a cloth on the tree, and Richard questioned her in a hushed voice about what she was doing. Anthea explained that it was a way to pay respect at a Raum funeral. Richard asked if she knew about tansinol, and she said he heard about mentioning that many people had died because they were framed for having tansanol. Richard suggested that she might catch the curse of the goddess of light by touching the tree, but Anthea said she did not believe in a foolish tale. Richard grabbed her hand, insulting her for being high on her horse because everyone called her a saint. Anthea snatched her hand back, stating that she never considered herself a saint. She simply enjoyed being aware of every little thing and didn't want to ignore or hurt those around her due to fear. Upon hearing this, Richard started laughing, calling her a strange person. Anthea angrily told him to mind his manners and address her as Your Highness. Richard promised to remember it next time and apologized for calling the Crown Prince a monster. According to the original story, Richard's evil plan should have already taken root. However, now the original plot gets twisted by Anthea. Perhaps it may change Richard's plans. Anthea tells him he is a good man and that if he used his skills in the right way, he would only bring good fortune. Richard, attempting to flirt, asks if she wants him to stay by his side. Anthea expresses her desire for Richard to become a good person. As she leaves for her carriage, mentioning it will be late to reach the palace, Richard says he will look forward to their next encounter. This is the first time Richard smiles on his own will. He is very happy because Anthea is the first person who ever gives a gift to his mother. Richard tells his mother he will come back next year. Here, if a good-hearted person can change an evil person, let's see in the story. Here our video ends. In the future, we are gonna see whether Richard is going to change himself and become a good-hearted person, or he will still be the jerk, an evil person to end and try to destroy Anthea and Emperor Thenston, or he will claim the throne. To watch the next video, select the video on the left side. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.